Yeah, welcome back to the channel, guys.
In today's video, we'll be talking about Alexander Isak. There's a news that came out earlier this morning from the Telegraph. A certain journalist called Luke Edwards. I don't know many of you guys will know Luke Edwards. He's a very controversial journalist. He came out with a news today saying that Newcastle has told Alexander Isak that he's not leaving anywhere, that he's not going anywhere. And suddenly, today, Newcastle had a game today, and they lost to Atletico Madrid. And usually after the game, they'll interview the manager, his time Eddie Howe. So they interviewed Eddie Howe, and he had a lot to say. So they asked him, that is it true that there's a news coming out from Newcastle that um, Alexander Isak will not be sold, and he has been told to remain at Newcastle. And it was surprising to hear that Eddie Howe denied even having anything, or probably he denied even hearing any news about that. He said that he has never heard anything from the club, and nobody has said anything like that to him. So that means Luke Edwards, which is the journalist that broke down news this morning, either he's lying or probably just trying to, sway the Newcastle fans, just give them hope and all that opium. That for me is just opium because I believe Eddie Howe is like a middleman to that club. He's the mouthpiece of the fans, and he's also the mouthpiece of the club. So there's no how a news will pass through without coming to Eddie Howe. And again, if you listen to Eddie Howe's comments, they asked him, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, they asked him that what's up with the Alexander Isak case and all that. He said, fine, they've had a discussion. They've had a discussion normally, players to manager discussion, and he said he's going to keep it public. He's not going to come up to tell anybody what they discussed. And today he's coming out to say something different, saying that Newcastle would only accept Alexander Isak back if he wants to be back into the club, or if he wants to be back into the team, he will be accepted. So I'm just trying to, like, that statement just make me realize that I think Alexander Isak is done. Seriously, in my opinion, I think Alexander Isak is not. There's no way back for Alexander Isak on that team. Because for a manager to come out and not normally, if a player wants to stay, you can just come out and say, "Oh, yes, he's our player. He has messed up in the past few weeks, and we're trying to, like, give him some disciplinary this thing." So, but for him to not just come out and just suddenly just say, "We would accept Isak back if he wants to accept us back," like if he wants to play, it literally means that if Isak wants to come back to the team, he's free to come back. But for now, since he doesn't want to come back, since he doesn't want to get into the team, there's no need of bringing him back as well because he doesn't want to be in the club. So I just don't know what's going on right now. But in my opinion, I feel Alexander Isak is leaving Liverpool, is leaving Newcastle because that journalist. I don't want to diss any journalist, but right now I think he has gotten a lot of things wrong in the past. Luke Edwards has gotten a lot of things wrong, and I feel if he's getting any message from the club, it might be from the owners. Maybe they're trying to save face and they don't want to, like, make the fans panic. They don't want to like press the panic button and all that. So they're just telling the fans what they want to hear, hopium and all that. And they're not telling them the truth. And there was a news that came out that a lot of people have been blaming Newcastle fans have been blaming Alexander Isak. And there's a news that came out that Alexander Isak told Newcastle earlier at the beginning of the season, even told them in January that he wants to leave, that he will not be continuing at the club, that he wants to leave the club in the summer. And Newcastle just put that in like, I don't know what Newcastle just told him, but it seems they're trying to, like, be stiff neck. And he has actually given everything to Newcastle. He won them the Carling Cup and all that. And I feel there's a gentleman agreement. And there's one thing I was discussing with my friend. He was telling me that this gentleman agreement is just shit. If it is not written, agreement on a piece of paper, clubs can easily just come up, especially management, the top brass management can just come out and just say, you know what, that's trash, just like they did to Bucharest. Bucharest said there was a gentleman agreement that they'll allow him leave for certain amount of fee, but suddenly everything changed. So there's no written agreement. So I feel if there's a written agreement, all this whole thing will not just be happening. They just bring it to the table and tell them, see, you signed this and you said this. You understand? So this whole Alexander Isak fiasco and all that, Newcastle and all that, it's becoming so unbearable for me, because you guys, Newcastle fans, I know a lot of things you guys say on the chat and all, on others, online and on the Twitter page and all that. But the thing is that you guys just have to be, if you guys are sensible enough, you guys can read between the lines. It's glaring. If your manager is coming out to say such thing, he's not even sure. He's saying a lot of things, like he's just trying to like save his face. I won't even blame I won't blame Eddie Howe, because I feel this thing is coming from the top and they're not managing it well. And just mark my words, if England doesn't play, or if England doesn't have a very bad, or if they don't have a good tournament this coming World Cup, guess who will be the next manager? Eddie Howe. And when you go to Eddie Howe, probably he might tell you, you can just look around and say, you know what, the owner is not backing me. What am I doing in this club? Everybody are just leaving the door. Everybody don't want to come into the club and all that. And it's gonna be a very bad thing for Newcastle now to lose Eddie Howe, because that man has actually, built that team to the position they are right now. A lot of players came into the club because of Eddie Howe. I heard he also went into when Sandro Tonali was in AC Milan. He went to talk to Tonali, convinced him. Bruno Guimaraes, when he was in Lyon, he also went in to convince him. It's the reason why Livramento and Anthony Gordon are in the club. And he has actually made strides. He has actually taken this club to Champions League football twice, and he has won a cup. So I feel the owners, the board, need to back this manager. He's one of the best British manager out there. And if you're not, if